And Shank, where were the couple standing when they were shot?
By the seawall in this observation point right below here.
Were they apparently admiring the seascape at the time?
Well, certainly that's a possibility. Their landlady says they frequently took walks along the beach in the evening. There was an unopened box of Valentine candy on the wall alongside. I think that's a logical assumption, yes.
He shot 5 times then. From what distance?
Well, that's around 50 feet away in a straight line and, I'd say 15 or 20 feet higher above where they were standing.
What was the caliber of the bullets?
22 caliber.
You don't know whether it was a rifle or a pistol?
No, we don't.
Did you find any cartridges right near the bodies?
2 ejected cartridges nearby, yes.
The assumption possibly then is that after shooting from long range, he went down and shot at closer range?
Well, at least there are 2 empty cartridges there. I wouldn't care to assume anything if I don't know any more about them.
Thanks very much, Lieutenant Shank. Mrs. West, when you went to the scene of the shootings, what was the situation?
Well, she was like she was on her stomach, and his arm was partly around her. She didn't move, and you could see he was gurgling and gasping. You could see his throat, a lot of action there, and groaning with it. And of course then I ran back up because I knew we needed an ambulance.
Did it appear that the woman was dead at the time?
She didn't move, and the maintenance man had looked, and he said she didn't move either. And
did it appear that her husband was attempting to protect her?
His arm was like he was sort of on his side, like, and his arm was around her. Her face was down, but it was a little bit towards the side too. It was down, but a little bit to the side, and he was trying to protect her. That's the idea you got, you know, despite the fact he was gurgling and everything. That was real bad.
Thank you very much. Mrs. Shields, in your apartment, a block and a half away from the murder scene, what did you hear last night?
Well, I heard 2 gunshots. They were about 2 to 3 seconds apart. And then I heard a man scream, "No, no." And I didn't relate him at the time, but I thought, well, maybe somebody's getting robbed. But since my husband's gone, I don't venture outside at night by myself. So that's all I heard, and that's what I told the police.
This was at about the same time as the murder was believed to have taken place.
It was about 8:30 last night.
Strange that nobody right near the scene heard any sounds or of shouting or of shots fired.
Well, the explanation they gave for that, since the man fired the first shots up on top of the cliff, when he came down here, the people couldn't hear it because of the wall that's right here. But the sound carried from here to where I live. I mean, it carried by, I guess, waves, whatever you want to call it. But they say that's why they didn't hear him on top of the hill.
These were probably the 2 final shots which were fired at close range.
That's what he said, that was the 2 last shots that killed him.
Mr. Smith, when did you rent the apartment to the boy?
I secured up last month.
Was that before they were married?
Yes, sir, it was before they were married.
Did he say then that he was going back to Alabama to get his bride?
Yes, sir, that's what he told me, that he was going back to get his bride.
What sort of a couple were they, as far as you know?
Very fine couple that I would like to have in the court always.
Mm-hmm. Did they have very many visitors?
Not at all. Haven't seen no one here.
Did she say that she liked to look at the ocean? Was that the reason they took these trips every night along the ocean?
Yes, he told me yesterday as we was working along that Joyce was terribly fascinated by the ocean. Cannot keep her away from her.
When was the last that you saw them?
3 o'clock yesterday afternoon when he left me.
What was he doing at the time?
He was finishing a painting job for me.
Oh, he was doing a painting job for you. Was he trying to earn some extra money?
Yes, sir, that's what he said. They need the money because they were running short on money. And he was very glad to do some work for me.
They were both very good tenants?
Seemingly they were very quiet. That's all I know about them.
Did he say that they were Did he say that they were childhood sweethearts back in Alabama?
Yes, sir, he mentioned that to me.